Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA daily and weekly analysis. In this video, we'll review how NVIDIA performed last week, and we'll also take a look how NVIDIA may behave this week and what should be our line of action. We'll use data analysis, fundamentals, and technical charts to make the assessment. Now, let's get started. Starting with the Friday summary, Nvidia opened at 123.97. It made a high 124.03. It made a low 119.26 and it closed at 121.35. That is 2.17% down. But looking at the overall last week, Nvidia is still up about 4.04%. So even if we had a drop on Nvidia, but overall last week was not too bad. In last 1 month, Nvidia is still up 3.20%. Last 6 months, Nvidia is up about 34.3%, and year to date is still up about 151.92%. And that's not an average performance, that's an exceptional performance in last 9 months. And looking at the overall indices, S&P, Nasdaq, and Dow Jones, we see a mixed signal. Let's take a look at S&P. You see S&P was down about 0.130% and Nasdaq is down about 0.39%, and surprisingly, you see Dow Jones is up about 0.33%. So unlike S&P and Nasdaq, Dow Jones is up. So that tells, some rotation is happening from tech stocks to other non-tech stocks, because in Dow Jones mostly the companies are non-tech. And also we had a PC index data published on Friday. So now let's take a look how the PC index data looks like. You see PC price index year over year change on your screen. The actuals came 2.2% versus the forecast 2.3%. So it came lower than the forecast. And if you compare with the last month, 2.5% versus 2.2%, so basically it went down about 0.3%. And that's a very good sign. And that tells inflation is going down more rapidly than I expected or market expected overall. Now let's take a look core PC index. So the core PC index came 2.7% actuals and the forecast was 2.70% as well. So it just matched the forecast. But compared with the last month, basically the core PC went up about 0.10%. But that's not too bad because at least it matched the forecast. So looking at the overall PC index and the core PC index data, looks like the inflation numbers came better than expected. So this would help Fed to do the rate cut in the next meeting or so, I mean they will feel more comfortable in doing 50 basis point rate cut in the future meetings. So this explains somewhat why Dow Jones was up on Friday and S&P and Nasdaq was down, because the overall market and investors thought in the future Fed meetings they would be more aggressive in doing the rate cut because the inflation is going further down than expected. So this would make non-tech stocks more attractive because the earnings opportunity would be high on those stocks. Because as we noted in the tech stocks, the earnings are contracting. Micron was exception that happened last week, but overall we saw in the last earnings, the earnings surprise is going down each quarter. Now let's take a look weekly candlestick chart for Nvidia. On your screen, you see weekly candlestick chart for Nvidia for last 1 year. So as you noted, last week ended with a positive candlestick, and this is in line with my expectation. If you remember my previous weekly analysis video that I uploaded last week, I had an opinion that this week should end positive. But overall, last 4 weeks, you see no clear direction, down, up, right? So looking at the weekly candlestick chart, it's hard to predict what's gonna happen next week. Nvidia could go in either direction next week because the volatility is still there. You see, last 4, probably last 8 weeks as well. Now let's take a look forward P for Nvidia. Nvidia forward P on Friday was at 39.40, and compared with the prior week, Nvidia ended slightly higher, but not much. And in my previous videos, I also mentioned that forward P of 40 for Nvidia is much more stable. So whenever Nvidia goes too high from the forward P of 40, it tries to go back to 40. And also when Nvidia goes down below 40 too much, and then it tries to go back to 40 again. So at this point, it makes sense that Nvidia is on consolidation mode because moving around forward PE of 40. So Nvidia needs at this point some good supporting data or news that can take it further away from forward PE of 40. You can consider it like a gravity, right? Now let's take a look percentage change analysis for Nvidia and try to make some assessment. You see that based on the cumulative percentage change basis, Nvidia is slightly above zero. That's 4.40% from the previous earning report. And that happened on 29th or 28th August, right? So Nvidia also completed 1 month after the latest earning report. So in last 1 month, Nvidia is only up 4.40%. And compared with the previous quarters, let's take a look last quarter, what happened in the first month after the earnings. So in the last quarter, Nvidia published the report probably on 22nd May or 23rd May. So 1 month from there, Nvidia would end about 21st or 22nd June. So Nvidia ended 29.5% in the first month after the earnings. And 1 quarter prior, let's take a look. Nvidia reported the earnings on, I guess, the 22nd February, and 1 month from there would be 21st March. So Nvidia ended 32.43% cumulative percentage change in the first month after the earnings. So in the last 2 quarters, you see that Nvidia did about 30% in the first month after earnings. So this quarter, just 4.40%. That's nothing. Now let's take a look at what happened in the second month in the previous quarters. So in the last quarter, the second month would start from 24th June, from 24th June through 23rd July. You see, Nvidia was up about 27%, right? It ended on 29% on 21st June. So from 29% through 27%, that's basically 2% down. So in second month, Nvidia basically went down about 2% from the first month. And one more quarter prior, let's take a look. The second month would start from here, 22nd March. So from here, that would end probably on 21st April, somewhere here. I would say 22nd April, let's say. So it's 19.6%, and 21st March was 32%. So basically, second month from 32% to 19.6%, about 13% down, right? So the second month, In that quarter, Nvidia was down about 13%. You see that in the prior two quarters, the second month was not good. Nvidia went down in the second month. So if we consider those two prior quarters data are relevant, the second month in this quarter, we should not expect a very good month. But in my opinion, it's not always the case. Sometimes the past quarters data are not relevant because in the future, new data, new events, new expectation, and new variables come into play. But overall, we should not be too optimistic, right? Now, let's take a look some news and analysis regarding Nvidia for last week. Now, starting with this one that says Dow notches record close after tame inflation report. So, I already discussed early in this video the impact of the inflation or the PC index data and why Dow Jones was up on Friday. Now, let's take a look this one that says Beijing urges Chinese companies to pick local chips over Nvidia's. Let's try to open it. So it says that Chinese officials have been discouraging local companies from buying Nvidia's H20 chips and have instead urged them to purchase locally produced AI chips. So I'm not sure how big the impact could be, or maybe this is one of the reason Nvidia was under pressure on Friday. Now let's take a look this one, and this looks interesting. And this says Nvidia's stock chart shows how bulls are using the recent pause to get refreshed. Let's open it. So it says that Nvidia's stock has been in a holding pattern the past few months, leading some on Wall Street to wonder if the nearly 2 year long torrid rally fueled by artificial intelligence boom has ended. But then again, they say that it's not a point to worry. So it says, but bulls do not need to worry just yet and may even have reason to feel cheerful because that holding pattern is looking a lot like peanut, which many Wall Street chart watchers see as a sign suggesting the previous uptrend will eventually reassert itself. So, based on their technical analysis, they are trying to say the previous rally can come back again anytime. Now, let's take a look this one, and they are talking about why Nvidia falls on Friday. Says Nvidia stock falls. What's driving the chip maker today? Barons.com. Let's open it. So they say here concerns that delay of Nvidia's next generation Blackwell chip will persist could be weighing on the leading chip maker's stock. In early August, a report citing industry sources said volume shipments of the Blackwell B200 chip would be delayed for 3 months. So they are quoting or citing this as a reason why Nvidia was under pressure. But in my opinion, I do not see any official statement from Nvidia that their Blackwell chip launch has been delayed further. But if it does, then it will be a big impact on Nvidia stock price. So that's all about news and analysis regarding Nvidia. So if I summarize the last week Nvidia's behavior, it was not too bad. Yes, Nvidia needs something that can drive its stock further high. All the news and analysis is pretty old. No new data or no new excitement at this point on Nvidia. So that's why it's trading around the stable or the gravity point of the forward P of 40. And regarding my positions, I still have Nvidia shares bought at 120 and 126, and I'm still holding it. And if Nvidia goes down below 108, then probably I will buy more Nvidia stock if I have some cash at that time. And also, you notice that the second month, Nvidia, historically speaking, does not perform well. So, in my opinion, it won't be very reasonable to think Nvidia would go above 130 in next 4 weeks. So probably the third month would be exciting, or before or just after the election we might see more momentum on Nvidia stock. So that was my understanding and analysis regarding Nvidia. I hope you liked the video, and also I uploaded Excel sheets that I showed in this video to my Patreon account. Thank you so much for your appreciation and watching this video. Talk to you more in the next video. Take care.